Attention, the following broadcast has been approved by Outcasted OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the NXT review with Outcasted OC. Sorry I wasn't here last week to cover NXT. It was important. I was at a wedding and I was the best man. So it was either do an NXT review or, go to a wedding. And, I couldn't really say no to the wedding. But before I start this video, guys, I got to say to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoy what I'm about to say about NXT. And if you don't like what I'm about to say, put it in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong, okay? But let's get straight into it because this is a massive week of NXT. I had a lot of fun watching this week's NXT. I made a TikTok about it. Judgment Day opened the show. Finn Balor comes out and says he is here to lay down house rules. This is the house that he's built. Obviously he's the longest reigning combined days NXT champion of all time. So yeah, I mean, it is probably the house that he's built, to be fair. Damian Priest then gets on the mic and talks to Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, saying, you called us out because you think we were a house divided. You think we were a split Judgment Day, but we are stronger than ever. And basically you've made a mistake. You done messed up, boys. So TRICK-MELLO come out and they say, this isn't about the rest of Judgment Day. This is about you, Finn. Yeah, okay. When people talk about the Mount Rushmore of NXT, your name is always at the top on most people's lists. But check the stats, dude. TRICK-MELLO gang is all over NXT. We are running this place and we are challenging you, Judgment Day, to a match. Obviously, Rhea and Dominic are there, just chipping in, being classic heels. You gotta love Rhea Ripley. When TRICK-MELLO says, obviously you're in my house now, so the victory that you got on Raw, it's been playing on my mind ever since it happened, but you're in our house now, so I want to challenge you guys to a match. Rhea Ripley's like, that is just pure arrogance. Either way, you're gonna lose to the Judgment Day. It doesn't matter. Then I love Trick Williams in this segment. He pretty much just calls out the Judgment Day. He basically just challenges them to a match, and it's confirmed for later on tonight. Absolutely amazing. And by the way, I cannot wait to talk about that match with you guys, just because it's a really interesting piece of content to talk about. I thought there was a lot of strange decisions in that match, but hey ho, never mind. Next we go on to a interview with Tony D'Angelo. As we know, he is still locked up. Mackenzie gets on the interview with him and says, are you worried about tonight? We find out tonight that there is a match between Joe Coffey and Tony Stacks. Tony? Is his name Tony? Stacks Lorenzo. I don't know. It's Stacks. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. The stipulation of this match is, guys, if Stacks wins the match, then all charges are dropped against Tony D'Angelo and he gets to walk free. Because that's how the American justice system works, apparently. If you win a wrestling match, then all of your crimes are dropped and you're free to go. However, if Joe Coffey wins the match, then Tony has to go to trial. Oh dear, and then he probably will get sent to prison because he ain't getting out of prison. He's a known mob boss. So just to remind you that Tony D'Angelo is the face in this situation. The same Tony D'Angelo who is a known mafia crime boss. And on screen in NXT, he has kidnapped people. He has put people in the trunks of cars and allegedly, dealt with them. They're sleeping with the fishes. They are working waste management. Yeah. So Tony D'Angelo is the face in this situation, which you've got to love. You've got to love the writing style of WWE. I love it when they swing high like that. It's absolutely fantastic. Next, we get a tag team match between Chase U, that being Duke Hudson, and the returning after the past couple of weeks of Andre Chase versus Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey. This is a really hard-hitting match, to be fair to you. I actually really like this match. You've got, obviously, Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak, who are absolutely great at just beating the piss out of people. But then you've got Duke Hudson, who's about 6'7", two really impressive moves in this match. He does a Hurricane Rana, and there's a point in the match where he's on the top rope and he does sort of a Michinoku driver off the top rope to I believe it's Charlie Dempsey. Really good match. I really like the fact that Duke Hudson and Andre Chase are back together, because I just think it really, really has to have a great tag team in the tag team division at the moment, NXT. Don't get me wrong, you've got a few that are coming up, but Chase U just bring that energy that not a lot of tag teams are able to do. And with the loss of Diamond Mine, apparently, obviously they've been kicked out of NXT because of last week's loss to the Schism. It's good to see Chase U back in the fold. What else happens in this match? Oh yeah, there's a situation here where Vic Joseph is on commentary, and he says that I think his name is Nima and Price. Do you know that new tag team that's been advertised for the past couple of weeks? Well, they are watching in the crowd. They will have a part to play later on in the night, so don't worry, that is not the last you'll see. The end of the match comes where Thea Hale, I don't know how the referee doesn't see this, but Thea Hale gets Gulak in a Kimura lock outside of the ring, stopping him from getting involved in the match to save his partner. Charlie Dempsey gets pinned 1, 2, 3. Chase U come out with the victory. A little bit of revenge and for Thea Hale against Drulak and Dempsey. I really, really like the tag team of Drulak and Dempsey, by the way. I think it's a very, very good tag team that maybe could become a faction with somebody else. I think it'd be really cool to see. I mean, even make it if you're going to turn Chad Gable heel at some point, maybe create a new world's greatest tag team situation where you've got him, Drulak, and Dempsey. That'd be dope. Or even get the Diamond Mine involved. Just anything, please, anything to push Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey, because I really don't think Gulak has had the best run in WWE, and I'm really not sure why. Obviously he's not the biggest guy in the world, but that guy's got talent coming out of every orifice on his body. What else do we have next? Oh yeah, I don't care about this segment. I don't know what they're doing with Gigi Dolan. So Gigi Dolan is talking about Kiana James, saying how Kiana James hides behind a mask, and who she really is, she needs to let out, because them two are quite alike in the end. It goes back to when Kiana James 2 weeks ago poured paint on Gigi Dolan after the match. And then last week, apparently, Gigi Dolan went into Kiana James's office and just wrecked it and posted loads of pictures and stuff. I don't know. I didn't see last week's NXT, but apparently she got a revenge. In this segment, just after it, Kiana James is seen backstage deleting a load of old pictures on her Instagram and on her Facebook, and like she doesn't remember putting them on Facebook, and everyone's looking at her and she's like, "That's not the person who I used to be, guys. Stop it." I'm like, can we stop this? Because I want Gigi Dolan to go back to just being Toxic Attraction Gigi Dolan, because that was way more interesting. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're making a character too deep when nobody asked it to be too deep. It was good enough as it was. I don't understand why we need to go through this. We then go through another backstage segment here. Bron Breakker, ahead of the match tonight between him and Ilya Dragunov. It is a #1 contenders match for the NXT Championship. Bron Breakker says that Ilya Dragunov is in his way and he's not on his level, and he will not be stopped. He's not going to let Ilya Dragunov get in his way to getting back to the NXT Championship. That match is coming up later on tonight. I cannot wait for that. We then get another backstage segment, guys. We are Von Wagner talking about last week, where apparently Big Buddy Javi was talking a load of trash about his childhood and stuff like that, and he had to take care of business. And last week, when the crowd was cheering him, it was the first time anyone was on his side, and he didn't know how to feel. But he felt good, and that's all thanks to Robert Stone. I'm kind of getting behind this story with Von Wagner, because obviously it's just the classic talking about how he had a rough upbringing as a child, but it's really cool to see that some people in the audience are actually getting behind it. Von Wagner is an interesting backstory, and apparently a few people in the wrestling community are really getting behind him for real, because they dealt with similar situations in terms of that condition that he had, where they had to extend his skull. I think it's really, really cool to see. I saw on another podcast that someone wrote in and they had to deal with a similar situation. So what Von Wagner is going through now, it's relatable, and it's really nice to see. How we will go along as a face after this whole turn, I don't know, but I'm down to see it. I'm really down to see it. Von Wagner is still not very good at a promo, though. It sounds like there's a robot telling this story. I do have to say that Von Wagner does have to improve on his promo ability. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Next, we get a match between Cora Jade, and I'm going to have to look at her name because I keep forgetting it because I've never heard of her. Cora Jade versus Kalani Jordan, accompanied by Dana Brooke. This match, it's just a match, to be honest with you. Cora Jade comes out with a victory. There's not that much to talk about. Obviously, Kalani is getting trained by Dana Brooke. I don't know why anyone would ever want to be trained by Dana Brooke, seeing as though she has accomplished nothing and she has not improved since about 2016. I am sorry, Dana Brooke, if this ever gets back to you, but it's true. Okay, I'm very sorry. I would never pick you as a person who would train me. I'm sorry. Ilya Dragunov now backstage, now talking about Bron Breakker, saying, Bron, you think you're the toughest, you think you have the most endurance, you think you're the most intense. Well, we'll see tonight in our match, won't we, basically? And we don't have a long to wait because in a couple of minutes we're going to be getting that match. But first, we're going back to last week, an interview with Gable Steveson and Eddie Thorpe ahead of the match. After the match of the it was kind of the Raw Underground match, but on NXT. Eddie Thorpe ended up winning that match via a TKO. He beat Damon Kemp. That was very surprising for me because that's the third time Damon Kemp's lost to Eddie Thorpe, so it's just been win all for Eddie Thorpe. But it goes back now to a conversation that happened backstage after the match. I think it was on the YouTube channel. Where Gable Steveson, he said he's got a lot of goals. You know, he's got wrestling, he's got the All-American thing going on. He's even got the Olympics to think about. But NXT is really fun to be around, and he's finding it very hard to decide what to do in the future. After this interview, we now cut live to backstage where everyone is talking about Eddie Thorpe versus Damon Kemp match. Everyone's talking about how cool and tough Eddie Thorpe is. Dijak walks in and goes, "What? So just because Eddie Thorpe won one match, you think he's the toughest in NXT?" And everyone's like, I mean, yeah, basically. Yeah, he's a pretty tough guy. And like Dijak says, give me a break. Give me a break. And then just walks off. So I'm assuming in the future, pretty soon, we're going to be having a feud between Thorpe and Dijak, which I'm down for. I like Thorpe in the ring, and I love Dijak. I'm a massive advocate for Dijak. He needs to be pushed. I've been a fan of him since him and Keith Lee were having their matches way back in the old black and gold NXT. We now get the match that we've been talking about. We get Ilya Dragunov versus Bron Breakker. The winner of this match goes on to face Carmelo Hayes at the Great American Bash for the NXT Championship. This is a really, really good match. I did not realize that Ilya Dragunov and Bron Breakker had such good chemistry, so hard hitting, just totally intense. Power of Bron Breakker, the toughness and intensity and the hard hittingness of Ilya Dragunov really, really makes for a great, dance partner for each other in this match. There's just so much hard hitting situations going on here. I don't even know how to talk about this match because it's not even a match; it's just a fight. There's a point where at the end where Ilya Dragunov hits the Torpedo Moscow and Bron Breakker kicks out at 2. Bron Breakker ends up trying to get him into the press power slam. As he goes for this move, Ilya Dragunov counters it into a DDT, hits another Torpedo Moscow. 1, 2, 3. Ilya Dragunov is the next #1 contender for the NXT Championship. I don't know where Bron Breakker goes from here, because he doesn't show up for the rest of the show. There's no feud or anything set up for him. I think it's time for him maybe to take a little break and then debut onto the main roster after SummerSlam, maybe. I think he's more than ready to go up to the main roster. I don't think there's any space for him at the minute in any storylines on Raw or SmackDown. I mean, I could be wrong. But for now, I think maybe take Bron Breakker off screen for a little bit, get that all sorted, ready for him for the main roster, and then we see where we go from there. But Ilya Dragunov does have a path, and the path is to the Great American Bash versus Carmelo Hayes. What a match this was. This was probably match of the night for me. Very, very good. Wesley backstage now is talking about the North American Championship match at the Great American Bash versus Mustafa Ali. He says he's a different kind of dude, which makes him hard to prepare for. It makes him hard to strategize for. He's interrupted by Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio turns around to Wesley and goes, "You're the guy who does the open challenges for the North American title, right? Well, I accept." And Wesley goes, "What do you mean you accept?" And he goes, I want a match for the North American Championship. Wesley turns around and goes, I mean, I don't know if you heard, but it was like, I don't do that anymore just because it was a little bit chaotic. Rhea Ripley starts saying, what kind of a champion are you? You're supposed to be, a fighting champion. And Wesley's like, I didn't finish. It got a bit chaotic, but I am more than willing to go to the office right now, to HBK's office, and get that match for you tonight. And Dominic goes, no, 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 no. Not tonight. Next week, to give you a little bit of time to prepare. I love cowardly Dominic Mysterio. Great to see. But next week, yep, it is confirmed. We are getting a North American Championship match. Dominic Mysterio versus Wesley for the North American Championship. The winner goes on to face Mustafa Ali at the Great American Bash. I think it's going to be Wesley, but it's nice to see Dominic Mysterio get a title match. Apart from the tag team championships, I think it's like the first. I think it's the first one. I believe. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong in that in the comments. We now got another backstage segment now where Baron Corbin is talking about he doesn't really know who he is anymore. He destroyed everything that he was, and he realized that the characters that he's been portraying over the past couple of years just isn't a reflection of him. I mean, I'm assuming that's Constable Corbin, King Corbin, Happy Corbin, Poor Corbin. I don't know, whatever. It looks like he parks his car outside of a place and he's going back to the Lone Wolf Corbin, I believe. I think he's going to be showing up on the bike and stuff like that in segments. I can't wait for this. Lone Wolf Baron Corbin was one of my favorite characters around 2015, 2016. And I think that's the time when he really could have been a world champion, when he held the Money in the Bank. But I think that was screwed up, to be honest with you. I really think Corbin could have carried the company as the champion. We now get a match between Tiffany Stratton, the NXT Women's Champion, versus Ivy Nile. Now, we see last week that the rested Diamond Mine had to leave NXT because the Creed brothers lost to the Dyad. It was a match last week. It was a loser leave NXT match. Someone came out in the crowd with a weighted mask, hit one of the Creed brothers, 1, 2, 3. They are out of NXT. So now it's just Ivy Nile by herself. This is a quick but good match. Ivy Nile gets a lot of offense in here, which suggests that I think she's going to be getting a little bit of a push at some point, which would be really cool to see. I love Ivy Nile. I can't wait to see what happens with the rest of the Diamond Mine, what happens to the Creed brothers, but maybe this means they're going up to the main roster. Regardless, though, Tiffany Stratton is victorious in this match. She hits the most prettiest moonsault. That's not my opinion. That's the name of the finishing move, but it is a really good moonsault. So, you can't really complain. Next, we get Chase U backstage where Thea Hale says, we got a little bit of revenge on Gulak and Dempsey. They may be horrible people, but they taught me the Kimura, and now I can tap out anybody. She goes to swear, and Andre Chase goes, stop, stop, stop. Me and Duke Hudson think you need a rematch for the NXT Women's Championship. And then they just start chanting rematch, 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 which I'm all down for, because that just means more Chase U on my television. And it means that Tiffany Stratton gets to defend her Women's Championship again, which I'm down for because she is a great Women's Champion. Well, I think she's going to be a great Women's Champion. Speaking of possible future Women's Champions, we get Blair Davenport now backstage talking about how she took out Roxanne Perez last week, and she's going to be leaving it on the shelf along with all the other people that she took out, like Nikita Lyons and Sol Ruka. I think she took out Wendy Chu as well. Blair Davenport is on a just an absolute mission at the moment, and I think the end of that mission is possibly going to be ending up with her being the women's champion at some point. I don't know how long Tiffany Stratton's going to be holding that championship for, but I don't think it's going to be Tiffany Stratton versus Blair Davenport. I think somebody's going to be taking that title off Tiffany, and then it's going to be Blair Davenport versus whoever the new champion is. As far as that goes, I'm glad to see Blair Davenport being pushed because she deserves it. She's a fantastic talent under WWE's umbrella, and I'm glad that she's being used. As for Roxanne Perez, I think she's still a bit green. I think she still needs a little bit more time to progress and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, she's good. She's talented. She can have a great feud with Blair Davenport here and maybe, push Blair. Get Tiffany Stratton up to the main roster as soon as possible. She is this generation's Charlotte Flair, and I will have no more of that being disputed. Now, we get the best match of the night and just the most entertaining part of NXT just in a long while, because I absolutely love this storyline. We now go to Stacks and Joe Coffey. This is a match, like I say previously, where if Stacks wins this match, then Tony D'Angelo is released from prison. Now, just a bit of a backstory to this. We've been seeing over the past couple of weeks that Joe Coffey went to visit Tony D in prison and said to Tony D, listen, I've got this audio of Stacks saying, you know, he's planning to betray and become the new Don of NXT. It looks like Joe Coffey and Stacks are trying to make a deal. Tony D'Angelo earlier on in the night says he doesn't really trust Stacks anymore. And like, you know, he kind of does, but he doesn't really know who the kid is anymore. There's a point in this match where Stacks gets laid down and he kicks out. And Joe Coffey goes absolutely insane because he's like, we had a deal, Stacks. We had a deal. But while Stacks is sat in the corner, he turns around and goes, I ain't no snitch. I ain't no snitch. During the match, we get a prepaid call from Tony D. He calls and it plays through the speakers in the arena where he goes, ha, Joe Coffey and the rest of Gallus, this was all a plan. We were never... This was all planned out, like the audio recording, everything. We were never going to turn on each other. Stacks was never going to betray me. Stacks, kick his ass right now. I thought this was weird because why would you reveal it was all a plan during the match when Stacks is not even won yet? Like, you know, what if you said all that and then Joe Coffey went on to win the match? You know, I thought that was really, really strange. Now we get a bit here where like it is still 3-on-1. It's still 3-on-1 because obviously the rest of Gallus has stood outside. Deema and Price make their way down onto the ramp. Obviously, they were watching Chase U earlier on in the night. That is enough to distract Gallus. So now it's like a one-on-one situation. Stacks wins the match, which means that Tony D'Angelo is coming back to NXT next week. He is a free man. The American justice system is so strange because apparently if you win a wrestling match, all of the crimes like that have been put against you have been dropped because someone has beat another person in a match. This is the greatest storyline in NXT history. I love it so much. It's just amazing. Now we get the main event, guys. Actually, before that, we get a backstage segment with Ivy Nile, who is then confronted by the rest of Schism, who says, Diamond Mine used to be an incredible faction, but look at you now, you're just by yourself. I was like, you know, because of you, you know, you're the one who hit him with the masks. Like Joe Gacy's like, it couldn't have been me. I was taken out of the arena. It wasn't me. And we then get like, a bit of a thing here. Ava Rain turns around and goes, you know, it's lonely now without the rest of Diamond Mine, but it doesn't have to be. This tree is forever growing in the Schism. There's always room for one more. So, well, Ivy Mile. I will walk 500 miles to meet Ivy Mile. Ivy Nile, will she join the rest of Schism, or will she turn proper face and like face them all? Who knows? But that'll be interesting. Like I say, I'm all down for Ivy Nile getting a push. I'm great for that. Then we now get the main event. We now get TRICK-MELLO versus the Judgment Day. Now, not really much to talk about in this match, except I do like the fact that Trick Williams got a lot of offense in this match. He does end up getting broken arrowed like onto the table, like it's like a razor's edge move. Like you've all seen it onto the table. It kind of like takes him out of the match. So then Dominic Mysterio tries to get into the ring with a chair. And while that is going on, while the referee is distracted, trying to stop Dominic from getting in the ring, Rhea Ripley runs around to the other side, throws the case to Damian Priest. As he's about to hit Carmelo Hayes with it, Ilya Dragunov comes down, grabs the case off Priest. However, there is a miscommunication here where Carmelo Hayes runs to hit Priest. Priest moves out the way. He hits Dragunov. He turns around then Mello straight into a South of Heaven. Damian Priest tags in Finn Balor. Finn Balor hits the coup de grace. 1, 2, 3. Judgment Day are successful for the second night in a row in WWE. They had a great match last night. They have a great match this night as well. They are gaining a lot of momentum. I will say this about this match. It does make Carmelo Hayes look a little bit weak. Yes, I know it took 4 members of the Judgment Day to take him out, but this isn't the first time that he's lost to Finn Balor. And all the way through this match, he was kind of like portrayed as like the underdog. Like he didn't get that much offense in, to be fair. I thought this was very, very strange to treat the NXT champion like this. But maybe there's a method to the madness. I have a feeling that Carmelo Hayes isn't long for NXT, to be fair. I mean, it could even be a case of Ilya Dragunov beats him for the championship at Great American Bash. If it isn't, then it could be, I think by the end of the year, we might be seeing Carmelo Hayes on the main roster, especially with the rivalry that he's got going on with the rest of Judgment Day. I don't see him being in NXT for very long. And hopefully he takes Trick Williams with him, because he is absolutely fantastic on the microphone and he is a man in the ring himself. But guys, that is the end of the NXT review. I thought it was a really great week. I thought the highlight of the night, and maybe the highlight of the year, is the whole Tony D'Angelo Stacks Gallus storyline. I just think that is just amazing. It's my favorite storyline of all time. Judgment Day coming to NXT, always great to see. Always great to see main roster guys like the Judgment Day, Baron Corbin interacting with the NXT guys, because it just creates a whole different dynamic of people coming back down to create different new rivalries. I'm interested to see what's going to be happening with Angel Garza and Alberto Carrillo, because there was a little segment that I just chose not to talk about before the main event. You didn't need to see it, but all you need to know is there's probably going to be a match next week with them involved. I am more than excited to see what's going to happen with Dima and Price, that tag team. I cannot wait to see them two. Just look like two massive guys who are going to be very impressive. Ivy Nile is a subject which I'm interested to see what's going to be happening with her, and many other things on NXT. I am interested to see what's going to be happening. But guys, like I say, that is the end of the review. What did you think of NXT? Let me know in the comments. Did you enjoy it? What was your favorite part of it? Leave a like on the video. Go subscribe to the channel, guys. Outcasted OC. Go follow us on all the social medias. We are Outcasted OC on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Go follow us all there. Go show some love. Go follow all the individual guys. Me, Ross, G, Lauren, and Courtney, all on TikTok and Instagram. But for now, guys, I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday afternoon. I hope you have a great week. We will see you tomorrow for the next podcast on Outcasted OC. But for now, peace out.